Welcome to BIPOC Live. I'm your host, Mary Beth.
And I'm your co-host, Javier.
Today is our pilot episode with our first guest, Pete Sands.
Pete Sands is a man of many gifts, many titles, many hats. He's an actor, a musician, artist, activist, and amazingly, quite interestingly, he was actually Time's Guardian of the Year, I believe, right?
Correct.
So,
Guardian of the Year.
pretty sure we're going to have a lot to learn from this conversation. Can't wait to get started.
Yate, she Pete Sands with you. The Netrate Nasha. My name is Pete Sands, and I'm from the Navajo Nation, the Utah portion of Navajo Nation, and I'm glad to be on here.
So I stumbled on your Instagram back in September, and there was, I can't even tell you how many people, at least that's one, I'm going to say bias I've found for the Indigenous community is that there's everybody's sharing what everybody's doing. So I can't even tell you how many people I saw you pop up. But the first thing that I saw was a picture of you standing beside the white pickup truck, and there's just a blur of firewood behind you.
Yeah.
And your caption said, "Over 3 million pounds of firewood, always for my Utah Navajo people." So can you give us the background story for that picture?
Yes, I started a firewood program for my community back in 2019, in October of 2019, and that was when my program itself began. So when winter rolled around again, I was trying to figure out different ways to bring in more firewood for people, and because it's a lot of hard work to go out and chop these woods yourself and saw them up. And I had went out to Flagstaff to the Coconino forest out there, Coconino County, and I saw that they were chopping up, they were thinning the forest out, the dead trees and different types of trees that were dying out there. And there's an overabundance. They're trying to, keep their forest lush and keeping it from overpopulating the trees. So it had all these piles there, and I was like, man, it'd be great to come down and, have like a caravan of people come down and just pick everything up. But at the same time, we wanted to do a firewood donation, and some friends of mine, the Elder Sisters in Salt Lake, they're like, we can do firewood drive here in the Indian Center in Salt Lake, gather some firewood for y'all. And I said, yeah, sure. But they got way more than they bargained for. So that weekend I was in Salt Lake for some meetings. They were freaking out because they were like, this is so much firewood. How are we going to get this all out of here? And there's a doctor I work with here at the Utah Navajo Health System. He's bishop for the LDS church, one of the LDS churches here. And he's called me up just that same day. He says, Pete, how would you like it if we could arrange something with the Utah Truckers Association? Because they had a windstorm that came through Salt Lake and ripped so many trees down. So it's just everywhere. So people said we can put out a call for people just to, put it out on the street or have different donation sites at different church parking lots. And I said, yeah. So I was like, do you have like a couple of trucks that you could send to the Indian Center to pick up all this firewood we have there? And they're like, yeah. So I had about 8 trucks, semi trucks, go over there and pick up all the firewood they had there at the Indian Center. But that's where it started. It was back in 2019 when I first, had the idea of gathering firewood for people who needed it, because there's a lot of elderly people here that can't go out and obviously get their own firewood.
Right.
So that's where it started from, and everything's just been growing and going up in scale, and networking and really finding people to collaborate with and work together with is essential to any type of a relief program. So I was fortunate enough to know a good amount of people with good hearts, and it just all came together.
You were called Time's, Guardian of the Year, based on all this work that you're doing. And what I'm interested in is, a lot of people want to do good things in their communities, right? There's needs all over the place, and there's a big difference between saying you want to do something and actually doing it. Like getting, you have that network and actually, for lack of a better term, exploiting that network to do great things. What drives you? What gets you up in the morning and gives you this ability to, to follow through in what you want to do and not just say it. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
I think as any visionary or any type of artist that has a goal in mind, you see the finish line is how do you get there? Like, how do you work towards that goal? And I've always been a human of great, tremendous drive. Even when people told me you can never do this, you'll never do this, this will never happen. It irks me, when people say like, there's nothing we can do. It's been done already. You just wake up and you know that there has to be something done. For me, it's that simple. Something needs to be done. When someone's in need, some person needs help, you should help them. If you're in that position to help people, then you should. For me, it's that simple. I don't really need any more drive than that, is to simply help someone who needs help. And, when I started all this, it was very hard for me to take compliments, or people say you're an inspiration, you're a hero, you're all this. It was hard for me to hear that, because to me, I'm not any more special than anybody else. What I can do, anybody else can do. What I do isn't all that complicated. It's nothing. It's not astrophysics. It's not. But then I took a step back, because for the longest time, it was hard for me to, like I said, take a compliment, really appreciate what I've done. You take that step back after you working yourself to death, and you kind of, after a while, where it starts wearing down your body, your mentality, your spirit, and you take that step back, and people kind of have to force you to step back, kind of have to tell you, no, go relax, go, we got this, we can do this, you don't need to be here, go take some time off. And going and taking that time off, it really helped me reflect upon the fact that, me saying that, not me saying that anybody can do this, actually made others feel bad about themselves. Because they took that to heart. Like, why can't I do this? Why am I not doing this if he's doing this? And so I really had to, as this program, as it helped me grow even more as a person, as a human. It helped me grow beyond my understanding of things, of how rejecting a compliment can actually hurt the other person who's complimenting you.
Yes. Yeah. I regret not having a Kleenex box near me, because I'm just getting emotional hearing this, because this is the reason why we wanted to do this. And in December, when that Time magazine came out, I was like, oh no, Hav, I'm like, Pete's getting too popular for us. He's not going to want to talk to us. but there really hasn't been any accolades you've received that you haven't uplifted all the team members that have been helping you out. Could you talk a little bit more about what, the collaboration between the Utah Navajo health system and the collaboration that's, continued to go between you two?
Well, the Utah Navajo health system employs me. It started back in February. Actually, I was a contractor here. I was a multimedia contractor. I did a lot of media work here at the time being. And last February, I actually left UNHS. I tell this story all the time. I left on a Thursday. Then I was hired Tuesday. I was rehired Tuesday. Yeah, because February came and I had plans. I had bought tickets to travel the world for 3 months.
Wow.
So I left here. I left on a Thursday. I was like, yeah, because like I was a contractor, I wasn't an employee. I was a contractor, independent contractor, and I left, and I was like, yeah, I'll see you guys later. And then COVID came, and they, they stopped all flights at that time. They
Mhm.
canceled my plans. So the people here that I worked with, they called me and they're like, you know what? Why don't you come back on Monday and let's have a talk? So that Monday is in February. That Monday I came back. They offered me a position here. Um, it took some back and forth because I wasn't really sure I wanted to be here for that long. I didn't know how long I was going to be here. I wasn't convinced yet. But I told them I would consider it. I said, you know what? I'll do the job until you guys find somebody. And so the next day we had a meeting because we had two possible positive coronavirus
Mhm.
citizens here on the Navajo Nation in Monument Valley. And so I said, hey man, we should start a program because it's not a question of, if it'll get here, it's when it's going to get here. And the Navajo Nation's already set up to fail, like infrastructure wise, health infrastructure, economy, it's not set up for. So I was in our minds here at the clinic, we were thinking like, this is going to be like the plague. This is going to be like smallpox, and are we ready for that in this day and age? No, we're not. We can barely handle diabetes on the reservation. And
Wow.
so that's how it started. Unique Chef started me off, giving me money every week to start, stockpiling like not, like non-perishable food items, like canned food and stuff like that, water. Then I just started calling people like, hey man, can you help me out with some water or some, it's just different things. It just started snowballing after that. And there's a lot of people that want to work with me in some way in any aspect. So I started reaching out to them. They're like, you're starting a program, they're like,
Hmm.
and I was like, yeah, I want to start a program. So Unique Chefs had my back since the beginning, and it still continues on to this day. I mean, we've gone beyond the COVID program. We've gone beyond the firewood program. We're starting the arts community back up, which I started by bringing in some mural artists to start
Beautiful.
murals, and we have a whole series I have the whole series laid out for these artists to do for the rest of the year for our buildings here. And we're just keep building upon that, and we're still rolling. And UNHS has become more than just a health facility. It's become like a community beacon because because one of our biggest issues, and one of the things we try to push around here is mental health.
Hmm.
Mental health is something that's not really talked about on the reservation, and it's something that should be addressed. And that's how we're moving in that direction, because it's not, people think coming to the clinic just for something physical, like you get hurt, you break a bone, or you're feeling sick.
Right.
But no, you can come to the clinic to talk about your problems if you have something. I have some series in the works about bringing in, because like sexual assault is huge on the reservation. A lot of sexual assault, and a lot of men and women who've been sexually abused. I want to give them a space to where you can talk about it. Bring in experts, people who've been working in this field for years, to come in and talk to people, to the community, and say it's okay if it's not okay that it happened to you, but it's okay to talk about it. It's okay
Hmm.
to let it off your chest, and get it off your mind. And I think that's how we can break that cycle of abuse in the home, is saying, stop, tell me what's really bothering you. What's really your problem? What's the real problem here? And hopefully we can get all that rolling soon. I mean,
Hmm.
COVID's really highlighted a lot of this because a lot of people had to stay home. And one thing that COVID really showed people is that leaders come from anywhere. There's people that popped up that never thought they'd be doing what they did to supply for their community, and it lies within all of us. And hopefully, man, it was a very confusing time because we were also at the same time we're dealing with this pandemic, we're also dealing with the presidency that wasn't helping anything,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just the political side of it really crippled everything.
So we all know that Arizona, right? I mean, we spent a week or more paying attention to this crazy election, and Arizona turned blue for the first time in a long time, and a lot of that was due to the native population, going out and voting, and they voted for Joe Biden in a large margin. Um, is there some optimism with this new administration, or do you expect, for you personally, do you expect more of the same, just talking and not much action, or was the previous administration so bad that even the beer would help out?
No, I think Biden they gave Native Americans a lot of hope for bringing Deb Haaland into the inner ring and making her Department of Interior Secretary of Interior.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a step. That wasn't just talk. He actually did it.
Mhm.
He actually did it, and he couldn't ignore the fact that Arizona would have never went blue without Native American communities. And then you look at where all the blue parts of the Arizona are, and they're all in Indian reservations. Yeah, they're all where Indian community, Native American communities are.
Wow.
And to me, that was so powerful.
Hmm.
This is what I've been saying for so many years to the Native American population: is we have the strength to change things as long as we're all united. That's the biggest problem, is not uniting, not coming together. I say you got to put all your little petty things aside if you need this big change. And there are so many people, man. There are so many people that worked reaching out to Native American communities on the reservation, and it showed to us, to Native Americans. I mean, I knew it all along that we could make this change. We could make changes like this. Even a little group can make a huge impact, and that's what we did. And now Native Americans, they've been inspired by this. We matter. We still matter. We matter now. And it ripples. It's a ripple effect. And now you see what happened to GameStop. It's a little group of people that can make this change. Yeah. So it's like, I think we're going to see those types of example in this coming year. So people are going to be like, so now people feel, who haven't felt like their voices were heard, they're shouting at the top of their lungs, and you can't ignore us anymore. We're here, and I think technology itself kind of levels the playing field.
Oh, yeah.
Technology levels the playing field for a lot of issues that we weren't able to get out there, and to get on a speaking level, just to even get the chance to speak. And technology has been let us able to do that. Yeah. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I think you can't get, there's no more American story than that, right? Like it, and I think it proves that how much of a family we all are. I mean, we all deal with differences, and even your geography, the color of your skin, all that matters. But at the end of the day, you know, coming together gives us all power, and that's another beautiful lesson. And if you have any more stock tips, let us know.
Best appreciated. Yeah.
So,
It's amazing. It was amazing. It's been amazing what happened, and it's probably still more to come.
so Pete, with all of the, creative pots that you have your hands in, with your music and your filmmaking and photography, can you tell us a little bit about what future projects you have coming out? Go ahead.
There's I've been working on the documentary, The Hurting Song, for 2 years now. and it's taken time. Any documentary takes years to make if you want to make it right. You know, you got to see progression of things. The hurting song is something I've been working on. It's a passion project. It's the first thing I ever cooked up in my brain. But I do a lot of writing as well. I do a lot of screenwriting. We got a couple of things in development right now. With a couple of things I wrote. I have a language project I'm starting with one of the Martin sisters' mother. She's a Navajo language specialist. We're figuring out a way to do a child show to reinvigorate the language around here and get people really interested. There's a lot of things that, like we got the mural project with the art project going. I think one thing I really like is making things that are practical, like things that are like tangible, you can touch and you can hold. That's how I feel about anything I create, is that it's something people can touch. Like if the hurting song is about sexual abuse on the reservation. It's about, because it's something that people on the reservation know what it is. They feel it. They know what it's like. And anybody who's been through that type of trauma will also relate to it. Because my biggest issue when I started the hurting song was all the documentaries I watched that were always like, they weren't very well. I mean, there was a couple that were very well done, but it was always about in the city, natives in the city. You know, we're following these women that are in the city. And for me, with all the research I've done, you know, you get to the root of any problem, the root of the problem. That was my main issue with the hurting song. I was interviewing this lady in Canada. She had run away and she was forced into sex slavery, and she fortunate enough to escape from it. I asked her, I said, what? I said, what? I was asking her when that first time when she got kidnapped, and I was like, what? You were walking on the road and somebody came, snatched you up. I said, did they force you into the car? She says, no. And they're just like, hey, it's cold outside. You want to come, have a drink with us? And she says, yeah, I got in the car and they took me. And I said, okay, why were you walking on the road? He says, well, I didn't want to go home. I said, okay, why didn't you want to go home? He says, well, if I go home, my stepdad's going to molest me. So that was the root. Mm-hmm. That's the root. It wasn't the fact that she was on the road or she was taken. Why wasn't she at home? And so that's where my mind started thinking, like, then I was asking all the other women the same questions, like, like even the men, some of the men who were, that are homosexual or transgender, when they were kidnapped, I said, why didn't you go home? I said, well, they always had these problems at home. Someone was molesting them, someone was abusing them, it's not just, not sexual abuse, it's also emotional abuse, people that are being emotionally abused. And I said, and so, that broken home philosophy, that is the real problem to human trafficking, is that you should have a home where you feel safe and loved and cared for. And that's where you want to be. That was my focus. That's where it changed my focus from the hurting song, because the hurting song, my mind was there, but I didn't have a focus. I didn't have, like, I knew I wanted to do something. When I heard that story, I said, okay, I started looking at the statistics of everything. And so when I did the forums on missing murdered women, my focus was far different from everybody else. Because I was like, wait a minute, it is not white people coming onto the reservation stealing our people. It is our own people doing this to each other. So we've got to get this mythical boogeyman that we made up. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen that way, but 9 times out of 10, it's our own people doing it to ourselves. And that's a reality that nobody wants to face on the reservation. And I said, there's shamans and people within the Native American church that are also sexual predators. We got to expose this. And of course, I got a lot of flack for that. But I said, the way you call out other religious establishments, like, you know, like even the Boy Scouts of America, they've had that same problem, is that we got to hold ourselves at that same standard. You know, we're basically, you know, there's something here that we're not talking about. How can we be this? How can we show ourselves to the world like this? We're the most spiritual people on earth, but at the same time have the highest, sometimes 3 times the national average of sexual assault on the reservation. It doesn't add up. We're choosing an image over an issue. So yeah, I don't want to get all on my rant right there, but you know, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
No, and please don't apologize for that. I wish we had more time to get into that specific part of your work because it's powerful. I actually, you know, got a chance to look at that the theme song, the video for the theme song of Hurting Song,
Yeah.
and just how I'm feeling right now listening to this story, just through those visuals and that song and those 2 young women. It's an important story to tell, and thank you so much for that work and bringing that to us.
No problem.
Thank you, Pete. We appreciate you and your time. Thank you for your storytelling, and we just hope it just brings a stronger community to all of us.